we bring in a friend who we've known for years and years and years. He's an author, relationship therapist, Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson.
Some expert advice on how we can all talk to them. Joining us now is relationship expert Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson. She's the author of Courageous Conversations Connect. Good morning, R.G.
Doctor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Janelle. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And as we mentioned, a lot of people just dealing with anxiety during all of this. What are your suggestions?
Some of the things that we need to remember is that this is temporary. This is temporary inconvenience for long-term gain. And as long as we stay healthy, Janelle, then everything else is recoverable.
Talk to your children about what's happening right now. What are the best ways to do that?
There's some do's and don'ts, right? So you want to tell them that you're going to be here. We're going to be okay. Kids want to know that they're secure and they're safe. So predictability, structure, and consistency. You also want to let them know you have a plan. And even if you don't have a plan, tell them that you're working on one, right?
This far, being able, hey, we're on. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. RG from the Courageous Conversations Connect space, where we have our quarantine talks every morning. And today is no different. It is April 27th, 2020. Welcome to our quarantine talks. Oh, so good to see you guys. Hope you had a great weekend, and we're going to have a great time. I got some great topics for us to talk about this week. So before we get into that, we're going to just take a quick moment with our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So stay with us. Hopefully patient with me. All right. Well, I am back and I'm excited. It is Monday morning. We've got folks already on. I see Rochelle's on. Good morning, Rochelle. I see Gloria, Larissa, Billy Joe. Thank you all for joining. Listen, I'd love for you guys and the IG family as well to do your watch parties. Let people know where we're at. We know you know that we're here every day at 10 o'clock. Also go on over to the YouTube page and subscribe. The Ask Dr. RG YouTube page, hit your notification buttons. Also give me some thumbs up, some smiley faces, some hearts. That absolutely helps with our algorithms. We really, really, really appreciate that. Like, share. That is extremely helpful to us. And we've got actually a new sponsor in addition to the other sponsors, Roger Laseth Security, and Daryl Montague, as well as Stephanie Jones from Jones. And Watts is on. I got the book and gift card. Awesome, Morgan. I'm so glad Morgan won our gift last week, a couple of weeks ago. Megan. I got a lot of Morgans in my life, so forgive me, Megan. My niece Morgan, my husband Morgan, my bonus son Morgan, my nephew's named Jordan Morgan. The cat's even named Morgan. So we don't have a cat, my niece's cat. So there's a lot of Morgans in my life, but thank you for joining. I so certainly thank you for participating. And Megan actually won a book and a gift card a couple of weeks ago when she remembered, I believe it was the 5 A's with that we've been talking about. It's very, very interesting when I do watch CNN, I'm watching other experts or whatever, then they're sort of talking about the things that we've been talking about for the last 6 weeks. Can you believe it? We are in our seventh week of quarantine. I can't believe it. And yet we are here. And guess what? We're doing it together. So for all of us that are here and fortunate enough to be home and perhaps working from home or be safe at home, not stuck at home, what we normally do in the very beginning of this process, you all know, we get ready and we get in our positions to breathe. I was thinking about this last night when I was listening to a young man, a couple, I think I posted it. I don't know if you all saw my post of a young man, 36 years old, I believe, and his wife, and they have survived their home, resting and recovering. They have some neurological damage from the virus, but he was saying you got to fight, and he was saying that he had to really be intentional about telling himself to breathe, which was something that would automatically just come normally for him, and yet he had to remind himself while he was in the hospital on a ventilator to breathe. So we should not take that lightly. Good morning, Dominique. Dominique's on. We should not take that lightly. So we get in our posture and we begin this process of our quarantine talks with breathing. Please tell me this morning, tell us, the part of the crew connecting relationships for epic wins, who you're breathing for. Are you breathing for yourself? Are you breathing for your loved one? Is there anybody that you want us to breathe for with you in solidarity that may have the virus or may be recovering from this virus? Who are you breathing for? These frontline essential workers? You all know who they are now. The list has grown exponentially with who we now have learned to appreciate, whether it's the bus driver or the pharmacy worker or the medical professional, or quite frankly, shout out to the mental health professionals that are on the front lines too. Some of them are outside of the house and some of them are inside of the house like me, or the flight attendant or the gate agent, the truck driver, the grocery store worker, the postal worker, many of those persons out there, of course, the police officers and the firefighters, even the school teachers, because they are working, like my niece Nicole, behind the scenes. Although they don't have to go out, they will. Eventually, they will open this country back up and we will have to be safer than ever before so that we don't incur a second wave. We'll still have to incur safe distancing or social distancing, physical distancing, if you will. And we need to not relax on some of those guidelines that they've given us to be safe. They've given us those guidelines to be safe for a reason. And so I do think that people will get anxious and they'll want to get out and they'll want to get back to their normal lives. But let's double down on creating new and innovative ways to connect as opposed to saying, let's go back to our old lives. Gloria says, my grandchildren who still have to go to work. Got it, Gloria. So we're going to be breathing for Gloria's grandchildren. I definitely think sometimes we worry about those folks that are having to go to work. We're hoping that they are practicing the social distancing and wearing their gloves and their masks. We hope that they also practice the good cleaning habits when they come home, like taking their clothes off and washing them and disinfecting everything before they sort of get, more relaxed in the home. And that's a challenge too, right? Because after the hard day's work, we want to just chill out and relax. And we've got more work to do for those persons who are working outside the house once they come in to the home, because they've got to disinfect everything so that they don't infect or so that they don't harm their loved ones. Hey, Tyrone, Tyrone says, I'm breathing for the community and supporting and helping them in any way possible. Thank you, Tyrone. That's my little bro. He's just a part of our church community and a part of our SAS community. So I appreciate you, bro. Dominic says breathing for leaders because they need to take a breath before they make decisions for our country. Absolutely, Dominique. Absolutely. Think about leadership. We're going to talk about Slack in a minute. After we do our breathing exercises. I don't know who, if our IG family, if they're saying who they're breathing for, who they are taking deep breaths and breathing in good oxygen. And
Allison is on with you. Good morning.
Good morning, Allison. Thanks for joining.
Fam, Kelly Blaze is on. What's up, fam?
My cousin Craig. Good morning, Craig. Thanks for joining. Anybody else?
Miss _AHG27. I don't know who you are.
All right.
Keep typing your name.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you for joining. And let's see who is this.
Stay hydrated, guys.
Angie Ang, 1979. Not sure who it is.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mama Scopes, you know her, Nicole.
Good morning, Mama Scopes. Nicole spelled with a K.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thanks for joining.
So, just showing some IG love.
All right.
Who else? That _girl_ Danny girl. Oh, that's Danny? I don't know if it's the same Danny.
Okay.
Anyway, join. Hey, Tiffany, and our associate Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany.
Yeah.
All right. My infidel. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning.
And we're praying for you, sweetie. Tiffany lost both her uncle and her father, and she is our intern. And so we've been sending prayers up for her big time and for her family. We're praying for those family members like Tiffany who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19. And sometimes they're in the hospital already with pre-existing conditions, and then it gets worse. So we don't know whether it's COVID or whether it's something else. But the bottom line is it just does not always feel good to lose multiple family members at the same time. And it's hard. It's hard. So we're praying for them. All right. So let's get into our positions. Middle finger and our thumbs together. Right. Or you can put your hands over one hand over the next on your lap or to your side, to the side. Hey, Deborah, good morning. Good morning. So we are taking in deep breaths. You all know the drill. At the sound of my voice, when I count to 3, we're going to take in a deep breath through the nose. Then we're going to hold it for 10 seconds if we can. If you can't, then less, but it actually helps to build up the lung muscle. And we need to prepare. We need to build up our immune systems to prepare for if this virus were to come to invade our bodies. And then we will breathe out through our mouth. So we're breathing in oxygen. It goes everywhere in our bodies, our heart, our lungs, our brain, our essential organs. The blood flow allows oxygen to move throughout our bodies. And then we breathe out carbon dioxide. We also are breathing in harmony and peace and love and joy, right? And serenity and calm. And we're breathing out anxiety, fear, worry, and anything that would not help us to be centered. All right. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through the nose. And out. Breathe in. And out through the mouth. That felt good. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. One last time, make it count, guys. Breathe in. And out. Great job. Great job. All right. So this morning, we're going to be talking about purging. I got a funny for you guys. So we're going to be talking about the purge, the art of letting go and moving on. I want you guys to share, like, tag, do your watch parties. Let people know we're having our quarantine talks. And Karen is on. Good morning, Karen. She says, I'm breathing for the man in the White House that he'll stop talking and let experts provide us with accurate and sensible information. Got it. I hear you. And Don's on. Good morning, Don. You know, we do have to breathe for our leaders. We do have to pray for our leaders. We do have to send positive energy for our leaders. And I do think, interestingly enough, we had gotten to a place, how many of you all would agree with me that prior to this pandemic, 7 weeks ago or so, when it really hit the United States, but it was going on before that, we weren't aware of it, that we had gotten pretty dark, dark thoughts and negative energy. And what had become status quo was meanness. I think that somewhere along the line, we kind of lost our way as a community in humanity. And it just became, even in social media, just okay to say whatever you wanted to say to people and how you wanted to say it and tell them, almost like the person behind the screen. And I think that it's really, really important for us to utilize this time that we have to recalibrate our thinking and re-energize ourselves, but also take into consideration, what are we sharing and how are we sharing it? What is the messaging that we're trying to get across to anybody that we come in contact with? Morgan and I say here at Faith Inc. and Connections Matter, we always ask people the question, are you helping to harm or healing the hurt? Which one is it? Because it only can be two things. Either your words can be meant to uplift, right, and to elevate and to affirm, or your words and your actions can be meant to put down and degrade and minimize the people that are around you. And so we need to ask ourselves those questions. And absolutely, we need to be breathing and praying for those people who are our leaders, because ultimately they're making decisions that impact us for the long haul, especially the Black and brown in poor communities. Okay, so purging, the art of letting go and moving on. So I want you guys to tell me in this quarantine talks, as we move into our 7th week, this is our 25th day of having these quarantine talks, what are you purging? Why am I thinking about that? Because the truth is, I don't do a great job of purging at all, right? My physical space, right? I just don't. I'm very much like, Morgan's laughing in the background, I'm very much like my father. We are these, be quiet. we are these, what is the word? Hoarders. There's no other. Actually, I was trying to find another way to talk about it, right? I mean, we're organized hoarders. We're organized. You never know that we were hoarders, and I don't know if you all can agree with that, and be honest with yourself. Truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthrough. So I'm going to show you all this, right? This is a crutch, right?
1979.
This is a crutch. Now, Morgan threw the other one out, and then I found this one. And then it wasn't broke. It was not broke. It only didn't have like this little fly thing, right? Which is all it needed was for us to find this little tiny piece.
Ask the question.
Let me. All right, babe. Go back there and produce. Do what you do. All right. So all it needed was this. This is the crutch, right? I have another one, which he made me throw out. And I also had a boot because I broke my foot a couple of years ago. And so I'm cleaning out my office because I'm moving into another space. And the truth is that I threw everything into that office when we got married, and this was the bigger space. So we decided that we would move in here, and I needed to create space. And, that was only the fair thing to do. And I realized that I had been here in our home for so long and just spread out. So I needed to create space, and I did. And I threw everything in that office, and that's where it stayed for like over 5 years. And so now that I'm home and seeing clients every day, I have another space that I see my clients online, but I wanted to create a nicer space. So the point is, I found this crutch. I found several crutches. I found lots of things in that room that I'm still purging. And what I realize is that we need to do a better job of purging. And there is an art to letting go and moving on. So we're making this funny, but I want to ask you, what are you using as a crutch? This crutch is helpful if you're impaired, right? If you have broken a leg or a foot or a bone or something like that. And I personally would like to keep it, but I think my husband's going to make me throw this one out too. However, it is a metaphor for life, quite frankly, because sometimes we use things as crutches. We use people as crutches. We use procrastination as a crutch or an excuse. We use our anger as a crutch. Quite frankly, there will be some people that will use this pandemic as a crutch. They will say, I didn't get anything done for 7 weeks because I was home in a quarantine. And what I'm saying to people is this process of quarantine talks is for us to level up with our honesty and ask ourselves, what have we been holding on to? What have we not let go of? What have we not purged that has cluttered up our lives? Because quite frankly, sometimes when you have physical space that's cluttered, guess what? It's probably not far behind that you have emotional space that's cluttered, relational space that's cluttered, professional space that's cluttered, familial space that's cluttered, maybe even spiritual space. Like, this is really a time out, quite frankly, as our pastor said yesterday. God gave us a time out or a purposeful pause for us to get it together and to figure out what do we need to clean out. So Don says, I like that organized hoarder. Yes, I do too. I do too. However, what it's a nice way, but you know, the truth is you, hey, please. You know, the truth is, though, we can create a narrative around almost anything and make it sound good. So I'm creating a narrative around being a hoarder and saying it's an organized hoarder. But the truth is, it's not necessary. If you have things in your closets, like this is what we do. We find this is what at least organized hoarders do. They have these things. So I'm very neat. And I like, this is another day. I'm telling you guys all my business about my nicknames that my husband calls me. So this nickname calls me a secret squirrel. He does. He calls me secret squirrel. What was the other one that you call me? You call me a lot of things, babe. But secret squirrel because I squirrel things away, right? And I have drawers and closets and I squirrel it away for a rainy day.
But the rainy day never comes. And when the rainy day comes, you can't find a darn thing. Anyway, as we digress.
We digress. But so I don't know what you call yourself or what your spouse or someone calls you. But the truth is, like, I do have to be honest with myself. And I'm encouraging you all to be honest with yourself. If you are not purging in any area of your life, it more than likely means that if there's clutter. And if there's clutter, then how do you have the space to be creative? How do you have the space to be innovative? How do you have the space to actually move in the direction that you want to go as you elevate and as you grow? That's the most important thing. So let's go on and be honest. If we have not utilized this time, when else in your lifetime will you have several months to just kind of sit and be still and look at your environment and say, I could do better? Yes, babe. You got the race?
So, yeah, a couple of different comments here to show us some of my IG love here.
All right, IG.
My girl Alicia, my homegirl Alicia, we worked together back in the day. And, hey, Alicia, shout out to your nephew Swift for getting to the NFL this year. Yeah,
hi, Alicia. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We got friends in Detroit. So when this ban is over and all that, we will definitely be going to Detroit, taking in some games.
And Alicia, your son, Mark Jr. is next.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations.
So she said, my kids call me a pack rat.
Pack rat.
Right.
See, you feel my pain, Alicia. You feel my pain.
And Tiff is just laughing at because Tiff gets a dose of us all the time anyway. So she knows to laugh at us. Okay?
We're hilarious, for sure.
Granny's helping hand, she says, but you might need it, laugh out loud.
Might need what?
Whatever. You might need the crutch or whatever. You might need
This is what I'm saying.
It's
How
like,
many of you think that I could use the crutch? I could.
Are
Like,
you kidding me?
if something ever happened, I would already have a crutch up there.
Okay.
Morgan just shakes his head, but I am gonna let go of the crutch because I do have to be a model for not holding on to things. This is what we're talking about, letting go. So I'm gonna let go of the crutch.
Somebody named Philly_Kitten says, laugh out loud, we all are, I guess. And then I don't know, she was saying, no, not me. I don't know what she was saying that too, but she said, no, not me. And then Granny's Helping Hand said, I'm also a hoarder. The other day I cleaned my food cabinets out. I found Kool-Aid from 2008.
Ooh.
Such a shame. Oh, man.
Listen, whoever you are, Granny, though, you know that I feel you. And there's some more comments over here too, babe.
Okay,
so I feel you. I too have been guilty of keeping things way past their expiration date. Now, interestingly enough, I don't keep people anymore past their expiration date, but some, things in the cupboard, my husband will look in and he'll be like, RG, this is going in the trash. Right. So, there's another probably whole talk that we can talk about with regards to keeping things, in particular, people past their expiration date. So Mama Morton says, she says, me too. Well, no, Dominique says, not a hoarder, a collector. That's a good reframe, Dominique. And then Donda says, don't beautify it up. She said, oh, okay, got you. You said that. Okay, go down. Okay. So Mona Morton says, me too. I squirrel away for a rainy day. That stuff got to go. Absolutely. And Nicole, Mama Scote says, I practice purging closets, cabinets, clothes, stuff, my spiritual clutter, my fears, mind clutter, and sometimes people. But I've got a pair of crutches in the attic. See, Mama Scotes, you and me too. Well, actually, I only have one. Okay, Karen James. Go ahead, babe. You ready? Okay. I do the same. I always stocked up on toilet paper and came in handy during this time. Yeah, stocking up for things are good for sure. I do think that sometimes we may overstock. I mean, how much toilet paper do you actually need? If you've got a whole bunch of stuff in the attic, I guess that's what it is for like if you need it one day. But I think the problem is when we put things out of sight, then we think it's out of mind. And we have to really ask ourselves, when are you going to ever use it? Even certain points of items of clothing. If you haven't worn it in a couple years, chances are you're probably not. And maybe it will come back in style if it's a really, really nice garment. But could you create that space for something else? Karen, I have had crutches for over 15 years that comes in handy even so often. I agree. And I really, every so often, I agree, Karen, and actually really, really want my other crutch back so that I could have them as a pair in case I could use them. But probably I may have to compromise on that. I mean, the truth is, I guess we could go buy some other ones if we actually needed them.
Well, if you break your leg and go to the hospital, they're going to give you a whole brand new pair of crutches.
I don't know if that's true. Morgan keeps saying if you break your leg and you go to the hospital, they'll give you a whole set of crutches. I don't know. I think they charge you for everything. So maybe that's where, to be honest with you, my organized hoarding comes from. I mean, I grew up with a father who grew up in the South and they didn't have a lot. And so they held on to things. They didn't. So there's a conventional wisdom here, I think. What do you hold on to that you could use? And what do you hold on to that has no value? Sometimes we hold on to things that don't have any value anymore and we don't let them go. But the things that we hold on to that do have value, we could use them later on. And quite frankly, if we are honest, haven't we moved into an era, a community of overindulgence where we like throw it away, this discarded, I think they call it the cancel culture, where we just let things go that we could be useful to us at some point, from the perspective of, oh, you know what? If we need it, we'll just buy another one. But why waste that money? How many people have you seen just drop some change on the street? Well, now these days, probably money is going to become obsolete in some ways, like everything will be electronic. But Yeah, they'll, cashless society. But I do think that we have become extremely wasteful. Donna says, yes, keep the crutch because some things just make sense. If you have a crutch or a cane, they are considered important and may need it in case of an emergency. That's what I'm thinking. But now I only have one because Morgan threw out the other one.
Okay, I'll give in. Okay.
Can I have the other one back?
I'll figure it out. Okay, good Lord. Mercy. We're going to do a whole show on a crutch. And I threw out, really? Are you seriously, man?
Yeah.
Do a whole show on that? All right,
He made me throw out the boot too.
Talk about the boot.
He made me throw out my boot when I broke my toe, and now the boot is gone. And he was like, "Oh, you're not going to need that boot." I was like, "It's a perfectly good boot."
All right, I guess I'm being outvoted here. Seriously outvoted. Okay.
Can I have my crutch back?
Rise, I'm doing Rise Gilbert. She goes,
hey Rise, hey sir.
She goes, I know that's right. And then Alicia says, Tess, let's talk about people. I need this talk. Let's talk about people. Okay, cool. And then she also said, Alicia says, but at $1,000 price tag, so hold on to the crutch.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Can I get my crutch back?
Somebody else says, yes, they will charge you for a big crutch. Okay, all right. Jesus.
So, what, we're making this a funny, but, and maybe we'll talk about this at some point too, the difference with couples, how, you have to make it work, or you need to figure out how to make it work when you're so different, because Morgan and I are very, very different. That's a whole nother conversation around how we view things. And
I got one person on my side.
One, tell Morgan I'm with, really, Dominique,
I love you, baby.
Dominique, you're supposed to be with me. You're my mentee. I'm your mentor. You're supposed to stay with me. Although, no, I'm not going to have you have blind loyalty.
Oh, here we go. Mama goes, Nicole goes.
Sounds like Morgan is the environment.
Okay, all right. That's enough. That's it.
Thank you, Mama Skokes. Thank you very much. I do think that Morgan is the environment bully too. And sometimes he can be the conversational bully as well, dominating the conversation. I have to ask him, I'm like, are you having a monologue? Do you want to have a monologue or a dialogue? So anyway, those are differences, and we need to talk about those. Don says, it's an insurance thing. You better hold on to that crutch. Insurance charges you so much. Absolutely. So I may need my other crutch back. I would like to have my boot back too, quite frankly, but I don't even know where to find that because it was in a whole bag of stuff. However, the goal here really wasn't to talk about the physical crutch, although we could kind of think, yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and then I'll have a few things that I want to share with you in reference to the metaphor of what we're letting go of and what we're holding on to. So stay with us. But the goal, I was talking to the IG family. So the bottom line is that this was really supposed to be a metaphor for what are we letting go of and what are we holding on to, really more emotionally and spiritually, maybe even relationally. I would love to hear from you guys. What, if anything, you need to let go of? I mean, even if it's not a crutch or a boot, do you need to let go of anger or unforgiveness? Do you need to let go of the clutter in your head around your fear and your anxiety and your worry? Do you need to let go of maybe a relationship during this time that you've learned is not serving you very well? I heard Governor Cuomo talking about the fact that many people are dealing with disappointment in relationships because there are some people that they thought would step up and support them in the midst of this pandemic, and they've been surprised that they weren't able to do that. And then there'll be some people that they felt like they would never step up, and they have stepped up. So it's about sort of almost recalibrating and reordering or relocating those relationships in your head first, and then in your belief system and your action. So are there things that we need to think about? We're really going to be talking about this week and digging in deeper. This was kind of the prelude to going deeper with specific things that we need to actually let go, because it is an art. I do believe that although probably all of you out there are not like me, you're not an organized hoarder. I think if we're going to be honest, this is a time in our life where we actually have an opportunity to sit still enough to think about what have we been holding on to that has not served us very well. And how do we then begin the process of letting go of those things, those people, those ideas, those value systems, those beliefs, so that we can move on beyond this quarantine and certainly beyond this pandemic and be better when it's all over. Do you have somebody? Okay. Yeah. So I would just want us to think about that. There's a couple things when you think about the art of letting go, creating a mantra. I don't know what your all's is. I always have mantras that really help me to think about where I am and what is cluttering up my space and how it is that I cannot get past if I feel like I'm really, really stuck. And I'm asking people to think about, how do you talk to yourself so that you can move forward, so that you're not staying stuck? What are the internal messages that are within your own head that you have yet to be able to let go? We know about creating the physical distance, right? But I'm asking people thinking about creating more distance regarding the negative emotions. Thought substitution is an exercise that we clinicians use to help us to create more distance from the negative messages that don't really serve us very well. How do you do your own work? I think many of us are very good at telling other people how to do their work, right? But how do you do your own work with regards to letting go? Have you changed? I mean, have you gotten to a place over the last 6 weeks and now going into a 7th week where you realize, okay, I have been doing some work. I have been purging some stuff from my spirit. I have been able to let go of that unforgiveness that I had for that person so that it's dissipating a little bit more and I'm not as bound by the negative energy that that event caused me or whatever. And then, are you hard on yourself? That's another area that you may need to explore. Are you harder on yourself than you need to be? If you are, you may need to let go of some of that and be a little bit more patient with this process. They call it a process for a reason. The reason they call it a process is because we don't get it right the first time, not even the second or the third time. And there's some ways in which we have to learn as we struggle through it to get to a better place. So as it's a process, let's be more patient with ourselves. Let's be kinder to ourselves. Let's be gentler to ourselves so that we can level up on that and then allow the negative emotions to flow. That's really key. So if you are filled with, and if you're honest with yourself, maybe negative emotions about one thing or another, how about you let them flow through you? How about you learn to let them go so that you can create space for the positive emotions? Shelly says, hey, cuz, good morning, Shelly. I need to let go of my expectations of ... I guess it is. Yes. She says, and let them surprise me. Let go of my expectations and let them surprise me of people. Gotcha, Shelly. I think that's a great one, quite frankly, because during this particular time of a pandemic, as I said, sometimes other people will surprise you and other people will not surprise you. They'll disappoint you. There might be some people that show you exactly who they are. Dr. Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, believe them. And my good friend Sheila Boyton always used to say, like when I would say, I can't believe that so-and-so did X, Y, Z. And she would say, yes, you can, because they've been doing it. Why would you expect them to do anything else? And so if they do something that's elevating, their value, absolutely be surprised and be excited about that. But changing your expectation can be really, really helpful. Benika says, I've been purging unforgiveness and it has changed the relationship for the better with my mother. Excellent. Let me tell you, I'm so proud of you for that, Benika, and I thank you for sharing that, because I think that that is a huge point of pressure and a powerful emotion that really trips us up is unforgiveness. And I ask people to think about, well, in the midst of a pandemic, when people are dying left and right, and when we have all this fear and worry and uncertainty, is it really worth it? Like, what are you holding on to? Do you remember even what the angst was, what the injury was? And is it helping or hurting you, right? So we could do, and we probably will do during these quarantine talks, a whole week on forgiveness. I really think we need to unpack that. We won't do that this week, but because we're talking specifically about letting go of different things. But that forgiveness piece is huge, because talk about liberation and how we are then freeing ourselves to basically live a better life. And so I thank you for that, Benika, for reminding us that there's work to do in that area of letting go. Very, very, very important. And then accept that other person may not apologize. If that's specifically related to forgiveness, whatever the injury is, and Shelley talked about this too, letting go of the expectation, you may not get what you want from another human being, because we don't have that much power to make people do what we want them to do or what we think that they should do. And so sometimes it's really learning to accept what it is and then readjust our expectations so that we don't continue to get injured. And then lastly, you all know I'm going to say this towards the end, leveling up on self-care. When we're talking about the letting go and moving on, we have to care for ourselves. And I think this time more than ever before has shown us that we probably have not done the best job of taking care of ourselves. Most of us are ripping and running, where, if you got kids, you got them involved in anything and everything. And why? I mean, I do think that you should expose children to lots of different things. I got to hang out with my grandson yesterday on Face Chat, Jace, and I was enjoying, and I was thinking about, well, what will he do? Because you as he grows, because you want to expose your children and your grandchildren to lots of different things, but you also want them to weigh in on what they like the most. Is it really necessary for children to be involved in 10 different activities simultaneously while you're involved in so many other things? I think that's what we need to kind of realize, is that sometimes we are overextending ourselves and we're overwhelmed, and therefore we can't be the best that we think that we are, and we're not taking good care of ourselves. Yes, babe. We got 2 minutes.
All right, Troy Mitchell says, thank God for the differences, but I drive Abby cray.
I'm sure you do, Troy. Morgan drives me crazy too.
Tell him thanks for the DM.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the DM. I appreciate it.
Alicia says, how do we get rid of feeling and people that we need to get rid of?
How do we get rid of feeling and people?
The feeling of getting rid of, I guess is what she's trying to say.
Got you.
You're feeling about certain way and certain people. How do you get rid of
It's a process. It's a process. If you're feeling a certain kind of way about people, whether they, disappointed you or they didn't, do something you think they should do, they're not living the life that you want them to live, quite frankly, the truth is we have to level down on our expectations and level up on refocusing our energy on that positive outcome.
And you got Allison said, one of my male cousins has been contacting me several times a day sometimes. He is very toxic, so as of Saturday, I stopped taking his calls because he makes me feel bad about myself.
Well, Allison, great. Boundaries. I will talk about this. How do you relocate people in your life? Sometimes you can have a courageous conversation with them. And sometimes if they're really negative, you can't have a courageous conversation with them. You just need to relocate your positioning with them so that they're not up close and personal. They don't have a front seat in your life. And when you create those boundaries, you'll find that you create a physical and an emotional distance from the negative toxic energy. And that doesn't mean that you don't pray for them. You can love them from a distance and pray for them and want the best for them. But if they are not healthy, we cannot have multiple unhealthy people up close and personal in our lives, because that does not allow us to do what we need to do in order to be as healthy as we can. So anybody else, babe? No? Okay. I think you forgot Sharon, Karen, but we are going to take a quick break because we have a little bit of a hard stop for our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right. Hey guys, it's me again. And as we kind of wind down for this conversation, I want to highlight that Karen said, sometimes I need to let go of my loyalty to some degree and explore other options in certain areas of my life that can result in positive outcomes. I love it. I love that, Karen. I think most of us sometimes need to let go of loyalty. Loyalty issues. We'll do a whole day on loyalty conflicts, because I think that's real. And Dominic says, for me, it helped to understand and accept that everyone is not like me. That helps me to forgive people and remove my expectations. I love it. I love it. You're right. That's where we get stuck sometimes, when we just want people to do what we would do. And because we want them to give too. And there are, quite frankly, more takers than givers in the world. We hope that we, reassess that and rebalance that out with all that we're going through, because we truly are stronger together. And we need to elevate some of those skill sets that we have inside of us to be able to connect in a healthy way with each other. So this is a good conversation. I'm going to take some of these comments. Please, if you all are able to go on this YouTube page, tell other people to subscribe to the YouTube page. It's Ask Dr. Argie, AskDrArgie. Also hit the ASK. Well, I figure people know how to spell, babe, but AskDr. It's just a DR, not the doctor. It's spelled out ARGIE, Margie without the M. And you can hit the notification button so that you'll have a lot of more of our content that we're putting out. Morgan has been working really hard behind the scenes as a producer, and Vara Montague. So we're utilizing our time to give you more content. And we hope that you will also let your friends know that every Monday we're here at 10 a.m. having our quarantine talks in our Courageous Conversations Connect space. So we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. And just look out for all the stuff that we're doing. We love you guys deeply. There's nothing you can do about it. So have a beautiful day on purpose from our hearts to yours. Bye-bye.